If you need to create a timesheet for your employees, look no further than your Excel spreadsheets. Now, the first thing I want to do is switch my view to page layout view. You can do this by going to the View tab in your ribbon and selecting Page Layout in the Workbook View section. And for forms like this one where they may need to be printed, I like this view because I can see where the headers and footers are on the page, and I can also see where my page starts and ends, so where my margins are. So we'll start by adding a header to our timesheet. And by the way, if you can't see this header section like I can here, go to the very top line of your page here. And when you see the up and down arrows facing each other, just click on this and this toggles your header on and off. So in this center header field, we'll label this document with the company name and timesheet. You would obviously use your company's name, but for this example, I'm just going to say company timesheet, and I'm going to bold this. And in the Home tab, actually want to change the font to Calibri so it matches the rest of the document, and I want to make this bigger just so it fits inside the field without overlapping. And when you're done, place your cursor anywhere else on the sheet. So next, I'm going to start adding fields for relevant information for the timesheet. And I'm going to do this starting in row 3 instead of row 1, just so that there's some spacing between the header and where all of the text is going to start on the timesheet. It'll just look visually a little bit better this way. So I'm going to type employee name in cell A3, and then I'm going to come up here, double click between columns A and B to expand it to fit the employee name. And let's bold this. Now in these cells, just to the right of employee name, I'm going to select 3 cells, and I want to apply bottom border formatting, and that'll be here in the Home tab. In the font section, just apply bottom border. And this is where employees will either type their name if doing electronically, or if they print it out, they'll know that that's the space where they'll fill their name. So next, to leave room for any writing, I'm going to move down another 3 rows. And in row 6, I'm going to type the label for the next field, which will be employee ID number. And we'll again apply bottom border formatting to the 3 cells to the right of this. And let's bold this. And we'll skip down another 3 rows. And now in row 9, we'll type a field for manager. And again, apply the bottom border formatting and bold this. Now, I also think it's a good idea to have both the employee and the manager sign off on the timesheet. So I'm going to create fields for that. So to the right of the employee name and the manager name fields, I'm going to add fields for employee signature. Make room for that. We'll bold this also. Add bottom border formatting to that, and then to the right of manager, we'll write manager signature. Add bottom border formatting to that, and we'll bold this as well. So with these done, I just want to do a little bit of formatting just so this looks a little nicer on this right side. I'm going to align them to the right. So now let's work on the working part of the timesheet. And of course, this will need header, so I'm going to start this in row 11. So if you're watching this tutorial, you likely have a small business with employees. And if so, you should try the sponsor of this video, Connect Team. Connect Team is a super easy to use app that employees use on their mobile phones. This allows them to punch in and out right on their phone. And because it's online, managers can see on their app a complete overview of their employees' timesheet activities. Then, via payroll integrations, managers can either export the data to their preferred payroll software or integrate the app with payroll providers like Gusto, Xero, and QuickBooks. So while I think this timesheet that we're building here is pretty great, by using Connect Team, you can avoid silly input errors and forgotten submissions. With the Connect Team app, you can receive alerts when employees stay clocked in overtime and automatically calculate work hours, breaks, and overtime. Plus, you can apply different pay rates per employee and per job, So whether you manage a team with different shifts in one location or out in the field, this will be such a time saver for everyone involved. Plus, if you have 10 users or less, it's free to use. And thank you, Connect Team, for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. So we'll add a header for date, time in, and here I'm going to press Alt Enter to add a line break, and below it I'll write before lunch. I'll tab over again. I'll write time out. Press Alt Enter again to do a line break, and I'll write before lunch. I'll tab over, and again I'll write time in and time out with the line breaks, but this time I'm going to make a note that this is after lunch, and time out, Alt Enter, and this will also be an after lunch. And here I want to see my total hours worked, but next to it I want to also leave fields for people to enter PTO hours and sick hours. And we'll do a little bit of formatting to these. So we'll bold these. I want to center them both horizontally and vertically in the cell. And let's expand. Maybe this field doesn't need to be as expanded. Let's wrap the text so we can see all of it. And we'll add a little bit of color. Let's use a light blue. So now I want to add the dates for this specific timesheet, and I want the beginning and end of the dates listed to reflect the beginning and end of the work week. So in this example, this is going to be a Monday through a Sunday. So in cell A12, I'm going to type 1/22/2024. In cell A13, just below it, I'm going to reference cell A12 and just add +1. I'm going to copy this down so I have the full week. And for clarity, I want to format it for a long date field, and I can do that just right here in the Home tab in the number section. So I want people to be able to see the day name and the date number. And let's also add borders around this. Come back up to the borders options, and we'll do all borders. Okay, so to make it easier for anybody that wants to write in, let's make this just a little bit bigger so that there's room to write. And let's come over here and expand these rows just a little bit more. Then to make things even, let's get rid of this third column of bottom border formatting on the right side. So we'll say no border, and that way everything kind of ends here in column H. So I also want to add a little bit of light gray fill in the column for total hours worked. So we'll do that. Now this next little bit here is going to apply if you're going to use this electronically. So I'm going to format this so when people enter their times, it shows up looking like a time would. So selecting all of these cells where the time in and time out will be entered, going to right click, select Format Cells, and here I'm going to scroll to Time, and I want to select one of the options that has the PM designation here at the end. And that's going to make it so that whether someone clocks in morning or evening, we'll be able to see that. And we can test this. Let's enter to 8 a.m. Let's say they leave for lunch at 12 p.m. They come back at 1 p.m. and now they leave for the day at 5 p.m. And I like how those are formatted. So next, I'll select here the total hours worked, PTO hours, and sick hours fields. And I'm going to again right click, select Format Cells. And back in the time category, this time I want to select one of the options that does not have the PM designation in the example. And this is because I want these fields to display total hours, not time of day. So selecting that, I'm going to click OK. And then here in the total hours worked, we need to create a formula to calculate the total hours physically worked. So this will be the time clocked out minus the time clocked in. We'll put a parenthesis around that, and then we'll add the other out and in. So that will be time out minus the time in after lunch. And that displays that it was 8 hours, and we'll copy this to the cells below it. And let's do a little bit more formatting here for those that will be printing this. Let's center this both vertically and horizontally in the cells. And let's bold the total hours worked. And I want to, the date field, I want to also center these in the cells. And here at the bottom, I'm just going to write fields so we can total the hours. And that'll say total. We'll bold this. And let's align this. And here I'm going to use the Alt equals keyboard command to auto sum the numbers above it. Then I'm going to copy this using Control C and Control V to copy this just next to it. And let's add that same gray filling and bold to all of these cells. And actually, I want to make everything a little bit bigger. So let's make the font a 14-point font. And that pushes everything just a little bit into printing on a second page. I want all of this to print together. So in the Page Layout tab, I'm going to open the Page Setup. And let's click Fit to 1 by 1. Now let me go back into it. And I see that it adjusted it to 97% of the normal size, so that's not going to shrink it too terribly much. So if I click on Print Preview, you can tell that everything is a good size. So let's escape out of that. So then here at the very bottom, I want to add a field for HR use only, so I'll label that accordingly. And it's going to jump to the page above it because remember we formatted this to all print in one page. Then we'll come back to the Home tab. We'll add a little bit of gray filling to this and I'll apply a bottom border. And in my example, I only have one field. I just want to know what day this was processed. You may have others. And I want to go back and double check to see, okay, 88% of its normal size. It still looks good. So thanks for watching this tutorial. And for more tutorials like this, make sure to click on these links. Thanks.